So I am so thrilled because the artist I'm joined by today, I think we did her first UK interview for her show, The Forgotten Army. And now
Yeah.
this year, she has taken the industry by storm. Three back-to-back releases, three wonderful roles. And I personally think she's literally the next big sensation to happen to Hindi cinema. And that is, of course, Sharvari. So, Sharvari, thank you so much for joining us on filmishilmy.com. It's always such a pleasure to have you with us, and a huge congratulations.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. What a sweet introduction.
Well, look, I mean, it warrants it, and I think if we look at your journey, Sharvari, I think this sort of unconventional is a very soft term to describe it. I think you've had your fair share of experience of working on different mediums,
Right.
and success has not obviously been an overnight thing for you. I mean, even in your feature film debut, things didn't go your way.
Yeah.
But now with Munjya being like a really big, massive surprise hit, how has it really made you introspect on what success really means and to kind of finally get the sort of breakthrough that one aspires to have as an actor?
Um, Honestly, I really feel that there is really no formula to which is the right film. I know that there is always there's obviously, you say Munja, right? Munja, I feel, is such an underdog film. I think that the film really had. I don't think lots of people even knew about the film being made or being released, things like that, and I think that that film actually kind of proves everybody wrong and right at the same time. Right for the people who actually believed in the story, everybody who backed that film, and said that, we know that it's a one of a kind film. It's got new actors, but we still believe in the film, and the audiences still came. And and I think that there is no formula. I feel like when I look back at it, I feel like I've always done films and I've always done projects um, which made me happy, or in some way, I think that which excited me as an actor. So I've always just stuck to that. And that's just kind of been my way. And thankfully, this year has been quite incredible. Touch wood.
Yeah, touch wood indeed. Seriously, it's fantastic. But I like the word you used here, underdog, because I think that's exactly what describes all your characters that you've done in the three films, Munja,
Yeah.
Vedaa, and of course Maharaj as well.
Yeah.
Understood. I think also even if we look at your first web series, which was Forgotten Army on Prime Video,
Yeah.
that also
Yeah.
has the underdog theme as well, right? If we think about it.
Right. Right.
Again, I don't know if this is the universe basically trying to reaffirm that you are an underdog or whether this is just I just find it very fascinating how that's all come to
Yeah.
your lap. So how would you describe that term underdog and the significance it might have on your life, whether it's professionally or personally?
Um, I think honestly, I think it's quite a cool term, underdog. I say that also because there are when you say underdog, there are very little expectations on those people. So and I say not from yourself. I'm saying that from people on the outside. So when you kind of prove yourself right, it's quite the sweet feeling. And I would say, even as a film, as Munja, as all the actors associated with Munja, to so to say, I think that I think it's incredible because I think we believed in our film, we believed in ourselves, and we just went on working with that conviction. And along that path, people gave us that love. So yeah, it's really nice to say it's a nice term, underdog.
Hmm. And I think also what I think Munja really well did, it kind of in a way, like I said, it kind of cemented you as a bit of a heroine, so to speak.
Right,
I kind of feel like you didn't have that opportunity before. Um,
right,
but
right.
also and then obviously in Veda you also had a very beautiful song called Holia as well, which you performed
Yeah.
very well in. Um, but
Thank
I
you.
think if I can say, and I think it's important to address that all three of the roles that you've done this year are very, and it makes me very sad to say they're still very relevant to today,
Mm,
of what women are facing. There's a very strong sort of feminist sort of approach, I think, to all the stories, and I'm not trying to add a gender spin to it, but I think it's important to address it. Um, how important has it for you to sort of maintain that sense of morality and responsibility when playing such characters? Because even though, for example, Munja is like a horror comedy, a supernatural comedy rather, it kind of still has a very strong sort of message, social message, and all of that. So how
right.
important has it been for you as an actor to get into that mind space to be ready for something like this as well?
I think that as an actor, I think there is, with great power comes great responsibility, as they say. And I really feel that when people are making stories that want to speak about certain conversation, that want to start certain conversations, um, I think that, there were times when people weren't making films like that. Now that people are making films, I think that it's quite an incredible time to be in the industry, especially as female actors, because you get to play parts that are so well written, parts that are so sensitively written, and it's exciting. It's exciting to play parts that are real, that have a certain message to it, or that speaks something. Even in Munja, Munja is a fun horror comedy, but along the lines of that film also, there is, like you said, there is a certain messaging. And especially with a film like Veda, yes, unfortunately it's really sad that it's still relevant. But I think that the film had its heart in the right place. I'm very proud of that film. I'm very proud of the fact that we wanted to start a conversation. I'm very proud of the fact that I was able to portray such a character. And I always make sure that I play these characters with utmost sensitivity in mind, because um, unfortunately, maybe something like this has happened to someone. In fact, Veda was based on true stories.
Mm.
So as an actor, I wanted to be as sensitive as possible, because even though for me, I'm only doing this between action and cut, it's somebody's real life. It's things that people go through, and I think it's horrific, actually.
Hmm. And I think what I really appreciate about films like Veda and Munja as well, especially Veda, because when we talk about caste-based violence and the sort of the caste disparity that exists, uh, I really appreciate the fact that it really kind of does not bring religion or faith into it. It made it very clear that it is about human power, which has led
Right.
to this massive misconception over years and years. And I think it was a very essential point. I think even Munja as well, because it talks about folklore, it's also based on
Yeah.
folklore. But again, there is that massive distinction between folklore and what culture really is. Um,
Right.
so again, a bit of an extension of my first question for you to also kind of get into that space where, it's separating that. It's kind of separating that discourse between what faith and spirituality is versus what
Right.
society, systematic sort of misconceptions are. Was it an eye-opening experience for you as well, whilst working on these films, to actually get that insight as well and be a part of that experience?
Yeah, for sure. Honestly, in both films, and I'll speak especially also about Veda, it has always been written very well, and it was written very, very sensitively. This is something that the makers had gotten to the table. Nikhil Advani, as a director, was always very sensitive towards this topic and wanted to make a very responsible film. So I really leaned on to Nikhil sir in terms of all of this information. What I found fascinating, what I also found myself actually being a student of the Constitution of India. I think that in this journey, I kind of had an opportunity to really read up on a few things, understand a few things. And I would say that I'm still in the process of trying to understand it, because you can't like get up for one role and say, oh, I've learned the Constitution of India. It doesn't work like that. It takes many, many years to doing that. But what fascinates me is the fact that as an actor, I kind of got an opportunity to start thinking, start understanding, start reading. And it's quite interesting. It's something, anything you get to learn new is just such a boon. you know.
Of course. Now, Sharvari, you have your own identity and your own brilliance as an artist. But I was having a conversation with someone, and whenever I see you, again, I'm not comparing. I'm reminded of Rani Mukherjee when she first
Hey.
began. And the reason why I say this because एक तो आपकी बहुत प्यारी प्यारी आंखें हैं, firstly. I feel like, when Rani ma'am began, right, and a lot of the roles she's done, they were very commercial. There was a lot of those, it was heavily centered on mainstream Hindi cinema. But at the same
Right.
time, there was very strong social undercurrents in the stories that she was a part of. Um, for you, fusing sort of social messaging and morality and all of that with the commercial Hindi cinema space, uh, do you think we're at a time now where this is the new phase of Hindi cinema?
Honestly, I don't know what the way going forward is because I'm too new in the industry. I have read very little scripts to try and understand what is the way forward. But um, I do know that definitely I feel like people aren't averse to a certain representation. They aren't averse to having a certain thought provoking message at the end of a film. I think people still enjoy a certain entertaining film, which would maybe get you to think a little bit at the end and try and be like start a conversation possibly. So yeah, I think that people are accepting of all sorts of genres. I don't think that it is the only genre that works in the theaters. I don't think that. I think that I think that when a film is fun and a film is good, I think it doesn't matter what the genre is. I think people will still enjoy going to the theater and watching it. Um, but I think it's a great time. I think it's a great time to make films like these because people are accepting of it.
Hmm. And I think also the exposure that you've had in cinema is quite vast. You've worked as an AD, what I think on with Luv Ranjan in a few of his
Yes.
films, and you've worked
Yes.
on Bajirao Mastani with Sanjay
Yeah.
Leela. I mean, these are two completely different schools of
Yeah.
a complete different genres. So for you,
Yeah.
how much of that has that been a bit of a biryani or a khichdi in your mind, when it comes to acting? Because obviously there's so many different aspects of the craft, right? I mean, these are, like I said, it's such different styles. Does it ever,
Yeah.
how did you not allow yourself to get overwhelmed or confused with the different schools of filmmaking that you were kind of exposed to from a very early start?
I actually had never been on a film set. My parents are not from this industry, so for me, wow, my camera is just like going wide in and out, like doing its own thing. Yeah,
I feel like
it's
I'm
really.
watching like a Ram Gopal Verma film, seriously.
Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know what's happening to my camera, but anyway. So yeah, so for me, I think it's like I never knew anything about being on set. I didn't know what it is to be on a film set. I've never had my dinner table conversations don't revolve around filmmaking, so to say. So actually, when I went on set, I was like a child in a candy store. You know, I
Mm.
was learning as much as I can. I was trying to pick up everything. I would say that because I was so new, it's not like I learned 100%. Like I didn't understand everything that they were saying. In fact, I was clueless about so many things that were actually thrown at me, and I was just trying to understand. Oh, what does this mean? What does that mean? So for me, I think it was mainly just being more technically sound on set. I think that's something that I understood. I don't think that I got 100% grasp on genre or filmmaking style. I don't think I understood all those things. At that point, my whole aim was to just understand, okay, what does a DOP do? What is the lens like? What is camera facing? What is catch light mean? I think these terms are just universal, irrespective of which genre it is. So I think I kind of understood those things.
Hmm. And I think, do you know what? That's why it's really refreshing, I think, to see you on screen as well, because you're obviously someone who has talent, no doubt. But I think what's happened is that, in this industry, I think as Hindi cinema and I think Indian cinema generally has grown, it's kind of
Right.
become a bit more, I think, mechanic, if I can dare to say so. Like it's kind of become like, okay, nahi, ye prim and proper hona chahiye, ye training hona chahiye.
Mm,
Or sahi baat bhi hai, it
right.
makes sense to have training, but going raw, like going in it raw, like being a bit more oblivious to all of that. Do you think
right?
that was kind of more of a blessing though? Because obviously you've not been overly exposed to it before, so it kind of made you be a bit more vulnerable in front of the camera because vulnerability is a very key part of acting as well.
Right. I don't know actually. I never thought of it that way. Maybe now that you're saying it, you've actually done an inception in my head. Maybe I'm gonna think about this. But I actually would say that I was because I was an assistant director on three films, I was not overwhelmed on set. I wasn't scared of the 100 people around me or the camera and the light because it can get like that. If you've never been on a film set, like when I was an AD, I was like, wait, there are like 100 people around here. Like there are not just two actors that you're seeing on screen. There are like so many more people. And I knew that there will be people, but I didn't know that there'll be so many people, you know. So I think what I just kind of got used to the world of filmmaking. I got used to being on set. I got used to the terminology. So now when I go on in front of the camera, I am not overwhelmed by what is happening. You
Hmm.
know, I give myself the time to concentrate just on what I have to do, which is act. I don't have to get confused about the 100 other things. And if I wasn't an assistant director, I think I would have definitely gotten lots more overwhelmed by so much information coming my way.
Hmm. What's kept you very stable minded though, and very, very kind of focused? Because I think that's one thing that I like about you is that you're focused. You don't give any stupid statements in the media. You don't kind of go around being overbearing in the public eye. You just stick to
Yeah.
your job and you make your impact. And I think that is something that's so key that I think a lot of that's missing, especially in today's day and age. So what keeps you focused and not, with your blinkers on?
I feel like because I have had a fair share of uh, when I was struggling to find work, when I wasn't getting work so often. I think that I have been through that phase where, like, say, for years on, I didn't like before I got forgotten. I mean, I was auditioning since 5 years. So 5 years I hadn't gotten any work. So for me, I feel like um, I just I for me it's like every film, every beat matters. I've been in a place where I've not had work. I don't want to be in that place again. I definitely want to excel with everything that I do because it's important for my survival. It's important that all my films do very well so that I get my next film. So I think that that's just been my focus. And also because I really like to be in front of the camera and act. I really, really enjoy it. Um, I live for the days that I have to sit with my prep work. I have to, maybe be on set and somebody's thrown a curveball at me. I like those moments. I like a good challenge. I like being just challenged on a film set. I enjoy it. So I think that for me, that's what keeps me going. So I
Mm.
think that that's just been my focus all this while. And like I said, that once you get that chance, it's just about, what do I do next? How do I make this better? It's just that's just where my headspace is always at.
And I'm glad you mentioned about it. That's a good challenge, right?
Yeah.
What would you say was a massive challenge that you kind of, okay, massive is a bit of a dramatic word, but what would you say is a big challenge that you faced recently or on a film set or on a project, and what helped you overcome that challenge?
I think for me, my biggest challenge always is I would say in Veda actually. My dialect was very, very difficult.
Mm.
Because one, I'm a Maharashtrian, so I don't even speak Hindi at home. I speak Marathi at home.
Oh.
So Hindi is not the language that I go back to speaking. I mean, I speak to my friends in Hindi and English, which is like a mix of both languages.
Mm.
At home, I speak in Marathi. I've grown up only speaking in Marathi at home. So for me, Hindi is really my second language. It's not my first language when it comes to a native language. Then to actually add a completely different accent to Hindi, that was my big challenge. I know that even in Maharaj, I actually had a Gujarati accent and a dialect, but my friends have been Gujarati, so I've heard that language quite often. I've heard their mothers speak. I've grown up in their house, so I know. I mean, my ear is very used to that sound, so it was easy for me to kind of replicate it, and that's what I did. I replicated a lot of these words that how their mums used to speak. I kind of shared voice notes with all of my friends' mom. So that was an easy process. With Rajasthani, I just didn't know the language. You know, I didn't know the language, and also Rajasthani is such an underused language because Haryanvi and Rajasthani apparently are very similar, except for just some few nuances. So for me, I think that was a big challenge. I wasn't getting the dialect for a few months actually, and I remember my co-stars actually they got it like in a month, in 2 months, and I was still sounding Maharashtrian.
Mm.
I was still sounding Marathi while I was trying to speak. So it was such a big struggle for me. And every time you try to learn something new when it comes to language, you go back to your native language.
Mm.
So and then I had also done Maharashtra. So I was just oscillating between so many dialects that at one point I was just really fed up and I thought I'll never be able to just get this Rajasthani accent. But there was a very, very talented and brilliant dialect coach. His name is Mahadev.
Yeah.
He really guided me through this process and I finally actually got the dialect.
Mm.
And I really wanted to kind of take that one step forward because I like to ad lib when I'm performing. I feel like sometimes if I want to say something, I should be able to say it. You
Mm.
know, I don't want to then cut a take and say, oh, but can someone translate this for me? And then can I say, then that it just goes. So I wanted to be able to speak in that language at least more than the dialogues.
Sure. Well, you did
So
really
yeah,
well. You've done really well, honestly, especially as a fellow
thank you.
Gujarati myself. I can definitely
Thank
approve
you.
of your of
Thank you.
your dialect in Maharaj. For sure.
Thank you so much. My friends were very proud of me. I think that was my biggest validation because my two best friends from like play school are Gujarati, and I kept telling them that guys, y'all have to watch Maharaj, y'all have to, and I was so scared the day they were watching it. I was like, oh my God, the judgment is coming straight at me. But they were very happy. They said that you were very good. We loved your accent.
Yeah, no, no, I think you did very well. You did very
Thank
well.
you.
But I think, look, it's very impressive how literally you're the only actor or actress of this generation that is headlining two big universes of Hindi cinema. I mean, for me,
Right,
the Maddox film Supernatural universe, I'm a huge fan of. And I think
right,
Sweety's success and Munjya's success have only just cemented that further.
right.
We've got Alpha coming up, which I'm very excited for because it's a very it's headlined by two very strong actresses. And
Thank you.
and I think it's wonderful to see women sort of be part of this spy universe, and I think it's great,
Right.
you guys coming up. I mean, of course, we've had Zoya and we had Rubai, of course, in Pathan,
Yeah, yeah.
Tiger. But for you, I mean, I know again, you've always said that it's about the stories and all of that. But I mean, it must feel very satisfying just to know that you're doing roles that are not just um content driven, great, but also having a big significance in the ecosystem of
Right.
large industry like this, because it is a big change, right? It's quite like bringing that word underdog again. I mean, these two films kind of represent
Yeah,
that, right? So
yeah.
tell me being a part of these two universes, and how do you think it could help elevate not just your image as an actor, but also satisfy you as an artist as well, especially when it comes to the commercial sort of element?
Honestly, I'm just very grateful to being a part of both these very big IPs. Like you said, they are both of these are really, really big, and they've really cemented themselves as like a horror comedy universe like Maddox or like a spy universe, and generally they're always headlined by really big superstars. So to be this young actor who gets to be a part of such big IPs, one it's really motivating and it brings a lot of driving force in me to just like really put my best foot forward because it's a big responsibility, and when producers like Dinesh Vision or Aditya Chopra they believe in you, um it's a big responsibility, so I at this point I always feel like yeah, I just need to keep my head down and work really hard, but saying that I feel like I mean, I'm only 3 films old, but I feel like it's so cool that some of my films have repeat values, and I mean not just rewatching values. I mean that they get to be sequels, they get to come in part twos and part threes, and enter some other films in some sort of like special appearances. I think that that's really cool because I feel like this. like I mean films like Marvel, like universes like Marvel, X-Men. I think these we've grown up watching these sort of films and feeling that big high when you see these actors come in other films. Like Deadpool with Wolverine is such a big deal. So I feel like it's really cool that I get to possibly be a part of things like these.
Hmm. I spoke with Niren Bhatt, the writer of C2 recently, and I think
Yeah,
Maddock has successfully done is that they've identified our culture and our scriptures as a very big soft power, you know,
right.
for the industry as well. Because I think that we're so rich. India is so rich as a country with story.
Yeah, yeah.
I think they've managed to identify that, and I think that's why it worked, you know.
Yeah, I think all their stories are so rooted,
Rooted.
and that's the most relatable part of the film. It's like, I mean, apart from the fact that they are all fun and they've got horror, they've got comedy and all of this, I think what really sticks in this universe is that it's relatable because it's rooted. And I feel like no matter where your folklore comes from or which culture it represents, I feel like I think that there is this commonality, that the fact that this is rooted will always relate to you irrespective of whether you're from that culture. Like Munja, for example, yes, is very rooted from a Maharashtrian folklore, but that doesn't mean that people don't feel about, it's like universal interpersonal connections, like friendship is such a big deal, and I think that that's what all their films are also about.
Yeah, 100%. But Sharvari, I would love to know a bit more about Alpha. I mean, I know you've got NDAs and बस हमें भुगतना पड़ता है, हम जर्नलिस्ट को भुगतना पड़ता है सब कुछ, बट कुछ बता दीजिए हमें अल्फा के बारे में. I'm very excited. I can't tell you how excited I am because it just looks so fun. It just looks so brilliant. So keen to find out so much more, especially because next year YRF is literally packed with the Spy Universe releases because I think War 2 is also releasing next year. So talk to me
Right.
about being a part of this action-oriented universe as well.
Honestly, what do I tell you? We are here in Kashmir and we're shooting. Literally like I finished my work day, or like I had a half day today, so I thought that I'll sit on some interviews and chat with you all. So we've been shooting and it's just been incredibly fun. I think that it's super cool that two women get to be badass and helm a project. It's like breaking glass ceilings, and I'm actually really proud and really excited for this film to actually reach the audiences.
Very nice. Very, very smartly diplomatic answer, but I'll let you get away with it for now. But look, I think thoda sa I know we're running short on time, but I think it'll be very interesting to hear your response on this though.
Hmm.
You know, Bunty Aur Babli too, okay. I mean, it didn't do well. And let's be
Right,
honest, it wasn't exactly the greatest film either. I mean, it could have definitely been better as a film, for sure.
right,
What fascinates me is that in that film, you played different roles within that one role.
right.
Um, how has that, in a way, kind of maybe maybe introspect on yourself? I think, given the fact that you've played different roles in Bunty Aur Babli too, you didn't get success initially, as I mentioned earlier. How has that, did that sort of multiple roles and multiple layers of those roles necessarily had an impact in your mind and your psyche about your identity, what Sharvari means, what it means to be me, you know?
Mm, honestly, I think that what Bunty Bubbly did was it really empowered me to um I actually found confidence in myself, especially because um, I know that yes, the film, of course, wasn't received very well from the audiences. Yes, of course, there has been a critic on that, but I would say that there was still a lot of love that I received for what I did in the film. And that kind of made me feel confident enough because I felt like people accepted everything that I did. And I did. And the scenes were quite random actually, like we were playing, like I was playing a 60-year-old politician, I was playing a gym instructor, I was playing someone from Lucknow, and while I was always having fun doing it, and I never thought of what the audiences would feel at that point, when they actually received these characters very well, I realized that, okay, you know what? Maybe I can do this. Maybe I can do different accents and maybe I can do different roles. And that's how I started choosing things like Maharaj or a Veda because, they're so different from who I am. But I know that audiences accepted me for me even in Bunty Babli,
Hmm.
you
Hmm.
know so
Right.
it gave me confidence to then say that no, if I work hard and if I put in that effort and if I make my characters believable, I think I'll be able to at least get people to believe that I'm from that region or that I'm from that world. And I think that Bunty Babli just gave me that confidence to take up these projects because even Maharaj was a tricky character.
Yes.
you
Yes.
know it could have gone either way, I feel.
Oh yeah. You know what?
Yeah,
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that because honestly,
yeah,
it could have. It really could have. And I think just Surap ne pakda na, it was
yeah.
perfect because it could have easily been a very loud and irritating character, to be very
Yeah,
honest.
yeah,
Even though she
yeah,
had a very beautiful sort of underlining to the character, and you could tell why she became the person she was because of what she's gone through in the film. But
right.
again, Sur pakda apne.
Mhm.
And see, and that's what I'm saying. Like that's what I'm saying. It's the natural instinct you bring to the characters. You don't say,
Right.
"अच्छा, मेरे को अब empowerment का दिखाना है तो इसलिए मैं loud बनूंगी."
Yeah,
वैसा नहीं है.
yeah,
You go by
right.
the script, you go by the director's wishes, which I think is very important. But look, I think on a final note, because I know we have to wrap
Mhm.
up. Look, you're busy with Alpha at the moment. Hot question, really. Um, Number one, after as well as Alpha, have you been approached for anything else that we can look forward to seeing you in? And secondly, um, what do you hope for the future? Because I think we're living in such sketchy times where things are so unpredictable. Can you really necessarily have a plan in today's day and age as an actor when it's even more unpredictable more than ever as well?
I am actually a person of plan. I won't lie. I really I like to know what's happening. I'm not the ones who's like, okay, I'll just take each day as it comes and I'm just like oblivious to this thing. I'm not that. I get very like I need to know. Like even if I'm going on a trip, I need to know what we're doing on this trip. I don't like going there and then planning. So I think that's just the kind of person that I am. Uh, yes, I have been, of course, receiving of like I'm able to meet people, read some things, get like sit in a few narrations, and I'm really hopeful that I have some really cool and interesting things to put forward in the next coming year. But apart from that, I think that like I said, it's the film and the script. I think it really chooses their actors. It really is. I don't know. I mean, I don't mean to sound very like spiritual in this sense, but I really think that everything just has to work. A film really chooses its actor, or it's not the other way around. It's just meant to be sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, even if you look at it, there's been so many stories, right, of like other top actors that were approached for a certain film, but for some reason they didn't do it, and then another actor done it, and they literally are known for that character. So
Right.
you're right,
Right.
it's a bit of a Harry Potter thing where the wizard
Yeah.
was
Oh, yeah. Like the one chooses
one,
it's wizard. Yeah.
that kind of a thing.
I never thought of that. I'm going to use that actually. I'm going to use
Honestly,
that now. I'm going to now go and this is going to be my answer, just by the way. I'm going to constantly give the Harry Potter references. Damn cool.
it's actually really amazing, honestly. Like I heard it, I
Yeah.
was like, "Oh my God, this is so cool." But in terms of Munja though, because I think like what it has done, it's obviously, I mean, Sweety had lots of references, and I think going forward, I think Munja is definitely not going to be a thing of the past. I think it's definitely here to
Right.
stay, unfortunately. I mean, he's insane. The character is insane. But thanks. I mean, fortunately for us as audiences, we get to enjoy the craziness that we saw in the first film. But I think for you,
Right.
if there is a future Munja, if you are a part of the Maddock supernatural universe going forward as well, what would you
Mhm.
hope for your character in that? Because I still feel there's still a lot more. Like I think your character was quite mysterious, even though we got like a glimpse of it. But it's like even Shraddha and Sri, she still has that mystery, even though we kind of get to know more about her in the
Yeah.
second part. So for you, what would you hope if you are approached for the second part of Munja or even part of the universe as well going forward more now?
What I would hope, I I really like how they've written my character. Also because, the best part about her was that she was just confused about her love life. And I think it's such a cool thing because, you always see characters that just know what they want. Like they know whether they love this person or whether they're going to friend zone this person or whether they, want to marry this person. There's always this definition of love which या तो फिल्म के पहले में या तो फिल्म के बाद में it's a complete thing. But I love the fact that in Munja, one, of course, the film was about obsessive lover, and the film was about another boy who also loves you. Then there was another boyfriend, but this girl just doesn't know who she likes or loves or anything. So, I would like to keep it that way. I really hope that in the next part also, we just have this girl who just doesn't know about her love life. I think it can happen, right? People have phases where they don't know about their love life. They don't know who they are. It's about discovering yourself and and who you want in your life. So I hope that it doesn't become cliche. I hope that she doesn't really technically fall in love. I hope it's a bit of a confused character.
पता है मेरे को क्या लगता है conspiracies और I know we have to wrap up but मेरे को conspiracy theory पता है क्या लगता है I
Yeah.
think your character is somewhat of a lost daughter of Stree.
Well, you will never know.
Maddock, take the
Oh.
hint and include this trope in your next. Oh
No,
God.
but that's quite cool. You must tell this to Naren sir when you when you speak to
Yeah,
him next.
I'm going to definitely
Yeah,
tell him this. But I think honestly, and plus I think I'd be very happy because I absolutely love Shraddha and I think seeing you both
yeah,
together would be like
yeah,
wow. Like it would be pretty amazing. But
yeah.
oh, Sharvari, honestly, it's always so wonderful to have a chat with you and to always, get your insights and the sort of vibe you bring. It's always full of positivity and always full of
Thank you, thank you,
fun and really inspiring. And I think the work you're doing, honestly, it's so trailblazing in its own way. And I'm really, really
thank
proud
you,
that
thank you
you've
so
come
much.
so far. And I think
Oh,
going forward, it's only going to get better and better.
thank you, thank you, thank you so much.
Thank you. Well, enjoy your shoot in Kashmir. I'm very jealous that you're there
Thank
because
you.
I'm trying to go. And hopefully I'll see you on the big screen super soon.
Thank you so much, Anuj.
Thank you. Bye, Sharvari. Take
Bye. See you. See you.